Now, the way that I'm going to do this one, I'm going to let you guys, I'm going to give you the option. And if I give you the option, I know you actually is not going to do it. But I'm going to give you the option to do the problems on the side. Now, the reason is because dividing radicals just tends to be very difficult for everybody. It's a lot of stuff going on. So what I'm gonna try and do, I'm just gonna try and show you how to do the ones on the left. That way you guys can try and imitate the same process to do the ones on the right. Now for this one and this one only, I'm gonna allow it if you just copy the notes for the ones on the left, okay? Because it gets pretty dicey in a little bit and you'll see why. So before we do anything, let's start with dividing. Whenever you divide in radicals, we're gonna be doing what we call rationalize the denominator. And what this is going to be standing for is that we need to get rid of the radical. We don't like radicals on the bottom. They're evil. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to go ahead and do a method, which we call rationalize to get rid of it. Now, the method's pretty easy. You're going to be looking at your problem, and all you do, you look at the radical, and this is the type 1 problem because there are different type of problems. Okay, this is type 1. Type 1 and type 2, you literally do the same thing. You're going to look at the radical, and you're going to multiply the bottom by the radical, top and bottom. That's all you got to do. Okay, pretty easy. So whenever you're multiplying radicals, this is what you can do. So let's say I have radical A times radical B. If I multiply them together, I get radical AB. Okay, so we're going to be using that same concept here. So we're going to be multiplying radicals. So on the bottom, you can see that I'm going to be multiplying those two radicals. And on top, I'm going to be multiplying those two radicals. So let's go ahead and simplify. So on the top, I'm going to get the radical of 20, which is the square root of 20. I shouldn't have been saying radical. On the bottom, I'm going to have 5 square root of 25. All you have to do at this point is simplify your square roots. So how can I simplify 20? I can separate 4 into 5 and 4, and then 4 into 2 and 2. Now, if you remember from the previous video, I think about simplifying radicals, if you have a group of 2 and you have a square root, you can actually remove that pair and put it in the front, and which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get that group of 2 and I'm going to put it in the front on the top. And anything that doesn't have a group, for example, in this case, is 5, is going to remain inside of my square root. So let's go ahead and do that first. There's a lot of things going on, but it should be easy. So we're going to put the 2 on the outside. I'm going to write my square root, and then I'm going to put the 5 on the inside. That's how the top one's going to simplify. Now, the bottom one is a lot easier. On the bottom, this one's going to change into 5 and 5, which if we follow the same rule, we're going to circle it, and we're going to push it over here in the front, which is going to do what? It's going to give me 5 times 5. Now, the reason why I don't write the square root anymore is because I don't have anything left inside. Because I was able to do a complete group, and nothing was left over. So it's just going to be on the bottom, 5 times 5, which if we multiply, it's going to give me 25. This is my answer for the first problem. Pretty easy, okay? So that's the answer for the first problem. Like I said, you guys can go ahead and try this one. You don't have to, mainly because I know the problems are going to start getting a little dicey right now. And I already spent like 3 minutes just for that one problem. Guess how much time we're going to spend on that one? Well, we'll see. We'll see. Over here, this is type 2 type of problem. We're still going to rationalize, right? So this is type 2. Now we have an operation on the top, so we're going to have to do the distributed method, okay? So we're going to have to distribute. Okay, so what I'm going to do in this case, I'm actually going to get a little smarter here. I'm going to erase this number over here because I'm going to be multiplying the top and bottom by the square root of 7. But I'm going to do it on this side, and you're going to see why. So the square root of 7 and square root of 7. Now, on the top, let's do the top first because I want to do the hard part first, and then we'll worry about the easy part. So this 7, it's going to distribute to the square root of 3, and then it's going to distribute to the square root of 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Number 1, so I'm going to do the square root of 3 first. So it's going to be 7 times 3. is going to be the square root of 21. Okay. And then let's do this one. 7 times 5 is going to be plus 3 square root of 35, I believe. Yes. Now we simplified. We already did the top part. Nothing can be simplified on the top because everything is prime numbers, surprisingly. Now let's worry about the bottom. On the bottom, we're going to have 3 square root of 7 times 7, which is 49. And we already know that one's 7, 7, right? Like we said before, it becomes a group. Take it outside. So technically, we just have this. Technically, this turns into 3 times 7, which should give us 21. And then on the top, we have the square root of 21 plus 3 square root of 35. And if I'm correct, I don't think you can simplify anything here. So this is my answer for this problem. That's it. It looks horrendous, but that's it. That's as far as I can simplify. I might be wrong. I usually am. But we're going to leave it there. Let's go ahead and do the last type of problem. This is going to be the type. We said type 2 and the type 3 problem. This is type 3. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge. Now, the reason is because we're going to have to use something that we call the conjugate. So this one, we're going to have to use the conjugate. Let's get. And the conjugate says that we're going to have to go ahead and change my radical. So whatever the sign on this radical is, I'm going to have to change it. So in this case, let's go ahead and do it on the top. If I have 2 minus the square root of 2, the conjugate of that is going to be 2 plus 4 square root of 2. Okay, and that's what I'm going to be multiplying the top and the bottom by. So in this case, yeah, it's just going to get ugly. So I'm going to work them separately, okay? I'm going to work the top first, just to kind of simplify, and then the bottom part. So we're going to go ahead. This is the top first, and then the bottom part we do later, okay? Because it's going to get a little dicey here. So the top, we already know what we're going to be multiplying by, which I want to write here. So we know that we're going to be multiplying by 2 plus 4 square root of 2. Okay. And on the bottom, same thing. We know we're going to be multiplying by 2 square root of 2. Okay. We know we're going to do that on top and on the bottom. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So on the top, so we have 3. I know. Why would I write it twice again? I don't know. I'm crazy. So 3 is going to distribute here. And let me do a different color. So this one's going to distribute here, and then it's going to distribute over there. So let's multiply. So 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12 square root of 2. And that's the top. Okay, that's as far as we're going to go. Now let's go ahead and do the bottom. So this one is going to be looking like this. 2 plus 4 square root of 2. And then this one's going to be 2 minus 4 square root of 2. Okay, so I'm going to kind of zoom in here. First, I'm going to get this 2, and it's going to multiply with that 2, which is going to give me, I'm going to color coordinate this one because it's a FOIL method. There we go. And then I'm going to grab this 2, and it's going to multiply with that guy, which is going to give me negative 8 square root of 2. Now, let's do another one. Let's do a different color, orange. Or kind of pink. Yeah, a little pink. Now, I'm going to grab this guy right here, and I'm going to multiply with 2. So it's going to be plus 4, or plus 8 square root of 2. And then the final one, which is going to be this one, let's do green. It's going to be multiplying green. Done. It's going to be multiplying this one with this guy right here. Okay, which is going to give me negative 16 square root of 4. And I'm multiplying. This is all the multiplication. This is FOIL method. So you guys should be okay with this, but that's all the craziness that's going on. Now, all I have to do is combine like terms. Now, this guy and this guy are kind of cancel out each other. So the only thing I need to worry about is the 4 and whatever this is going to be. Now, the square root of 4 is 2. Now, negative 16 times 2 is negative 32. And guess what? If I add them, what I'm going to get is going to be negative 28. That's what's going to go on the bottom. All that work for nothing, and this is going to be what's going to go on the top. All that work, so much work. So let's go ahead and put it together. So it's going to be 6 plus 12 square root of 2 over negative 28. Now what's going to happen here is I can divide everything by 2. So that one's going to turn into 3 plus 6 square root of 2 over negative 14. Now, technically, we can still simplify a little more. I'm going to distribute the negative, so it's going to be negative. Jesus, this is a crazy problem. 3 minus 6 square root of 2 over 14. And that is my final answer. So like I said, as long as you just copy this whole thing, then you should be good with this problem. All right, so that's going to be the work for all of this. I'm going to kind of zoom out. Hopefully you guys can copy the whole thing. You guys can do this one. I would, if you do this one, you're amazing, but you don't have to do it. So as long as you just copy the whole thing, it's already like 12 minutes long. Just go ahead and just, you're all done.